Goodness. Ugh. Oh, it's recording. Fudge. This is part 2 to the Dream X listener video, so I'm not going to waste any more time. 3, 2, 1. Your nose filled with a wonderful scent of dirt and buttercups. A hint of rose laid behind after your deep exhale. So lovely that you almost dropped the pie. Oh my god. The flower shop was small, yet was always overflowing with life. Peonies peeked their heads out from behind the pink begonias. Roses showed their variety of colors from ceiling pots. Vines would twist and turn and grow around bamboo shoots, occasionally popping up with tiny blooms. Poppies swayed as if dancing with the tulips, their red hue and bright and noticeable. The most populous plant were the buttercups. They were everywhere, and in their vibrant childish golden beauty. Mr. Asgore loved buttercups, as did many of the people that wandered in. Lion? Lion? A head popped out from behind a particularly tall ash-tree bunch, horns poking out through blonde hair. Lion! Mr. Asgore smiled toothily and stood to his full height. It was incredibly intimidating if you were standing right in front of him, looking up at his horns and frame of hair. You almost dropped the pie again. Jeez. Sorry. I'm yawning a bit too much. We're literally recording this in the middle of the night. He walked over with a pot of perfectly blue violets, smiling. I finished the order you put in for your mother. She'll love them, I'm sure. You smiled back, heart fluttering. Your mother's birthday was next week, and you had wanted to surprise her with only the perfect flowers. Seeing as she loved violets, you and your father had managed to get a ton of violet things. This was your little contribution. Is Frisk here? You asked politely, your eyes scanning the floor. I forgot to give them something. I told them to meet me here. Oh, I'm afraid not. Mr. Asgore sighed, putting the violets on a nearby counter. Frisk has yet to arrive. Even if they had arrived, they would be out here to greet you. Now, I don't suppose they've told you about the magic yet. You nodded quickly. Yeah, actually, they told me on my way here. Over the phone, that is. Here. Set the pie there. Yes, there. Right next to the violets. Yes. Come with me. I'm sure Frisk will be able to find us back here. He took your hand in his, enveloping your hand in his huge furry paw. It was kind of like a huge warm glove. The type that made you feel like your hand was in an oven. Huh. After a twist and a turn and a set of stairs, you two finally arrived. It was a small room, plants creeping up the walls, with light flittering in through the windows. Was it a greenhouse? Mr. Asgore motioned you towards a spot in the sunlight, right next to a peculiar bunch of irises. He sat down in front of you, your light ending just below his eyes. You folded your hands nicely in your lap, waiting. The former king opened his mouth to speak, but someone beat him to it. Lion, there you are! Frisk came jogging through the door, not close to being out of breath. Guess all that running gave them super legs. Hello, Frisk, Mr. Asgore said pleasantly. We were just about to get started. Frisk sat down beside you, also folding their fingers. A bit of silence passed. 2. Then Mr. Asgore cleared his throat and said, This kind of magic isn't exactly easy, but not hard either. It all depends on your soul type. And as I have seen many times before, Ryan just so happens to have a lovely combination of traits. Your cheeks warmed slightly as you nodded. It was always hard for you to cover feelings, especially the vivid ones like embarrassment or anger, a blessing and a curse. Now, if you both could please enter the arena. Frisk jerked their head and pulled their soul, a bright red, pulsing with stored energy. Your soul radiated a gentle slideshow of teal and green. It was rare to have two balanced traits as it hovered above your chest. Mr. Asgore smiled, saying, "Ah, yes, kindness and patience. One of the best combinations for this particular spell." His own soul, while a white upside-down heart appeared. Please do not get angry with yourself if the spell doesn't work at first. It is complex and complicated, yet I think you have a hope for learning it. You blushed again and smiled at the floor between your legs. Mr. Asgore said, "The last time I used the spell, it was an attempt to cure my child." He took a shaky breath. It was successful for the time being, anyhow. Close your eyes and focus on each other's souls. Your eyelids slid and you closed as your mind wandered slowly in an image to be a form of in your mind. Well, actually, it was a flicker of green, then teal. Suddenly, you found yourself in a void with only your soul as guidance. Your spine tickled, but you continued to focus. Red sparked in the corner of your eyes, so did white. Not in a single moment, you were no longer alone. Frisk and Mr. Asgore's souls floated to your left and right, pulsing with energy. You smiled, feeling much more satisfied. Frisk's red soul tensed in determination. You're surprised to feel it. Mr. Asgore's larger soul swelled with pride. He must be seeing you do it. What if I opened further? After taking a deep breath, you pushed against the mental walls of the greenhouse. The world exploded in color. Your heart raced as you were surrounded by hundreds of thousands of orbs, hundreds and thousands of emotion. They swirled and guided and danced around you, curious and happy and wonderful and so confusing. "In, can you hear me?" Your eyes opened to see Frisk an inch from your face. Your face was sliced with concern, and you realized you were on the floor. "Did he pass out?" You peeped, sitting up. You rubbed the back of your head. Ouched. Surprised you didn't feel that. I forgot where I was. Frisk nodded quickly, saying, "You were passed out for like 3 minutes. Don't do that." Mr. Asgore sighed. "Don't worry, my child. This is proof that Wyatt has potential." Boom. Frisk dropped to the floor, and so you did the same. Mr. Asgore suddenly looked both very afraid and very mad. He said in a blood-red trident from thin air and snarled, "Stay where you are." And he was gone. You scooted under the table and hugged your legs to your chest. Should have called Frisk to come to your place instead. Uh-oh. That ain't good. I don't want to play solitaire. God damn it, Sherman. My brother is screaming, so it might be faint for you guys. Let's hope you don't hear it at all, but jeez. Fudge. This is also going to include part 2 or 3 because, yes, You and Frisk stayed under the table for a solid 5 minutes. Mr. Asgore did not return. The human ambassador was periodically clenching and unclenching their fists, desperate to do something. You, however, were just fine where you were. Mr. Asgore could do it. He could do anything. And if even he went into action, then so would the guard. You were just fine staying under the table, safe. But you felt a tug. Another loud boom went off. You watched Frisk scoot out from under the table. That's it. I'm done sitting around, they muttered. Frisk. You held out a hand to stop them, but it was too late. They were gone, determined to help the people. With a sigh, you curled your legs closer to your body. Picking at your sweater, you allowed your eyelids to droop. Despite the many bangs and booms, you were still very tired. Without realizing it, your soul had closed. Your eyes had closed and your mind was drifting. Your soul gave a weak pulse, trying in vain to keep you awake. But it wasn't enough. You fell asleep. The world suddenly exploded in color. Blinking hard, you gazed at the colors that were moving even faster and more chaotic than before. Frantic. One color stood out. If it was a color, that is. It seemed to static and in and out of reality, constantly changing without moving. It disturbed you, and you knew somehow that this was causing all the chaos. Then, two lights flickered into view, an outline of a white monster soul. They seemed to be fighting harder than all the other souls, especially the monster one. Was it just you, or did it seem light blue? That's when you saw it. A golden light, brilliant and strange and warm, snapped into reality. You stared as it glided, almost on thin air, towards the Chaos Maker. You couldn't help. You couldn't stand there. You couldn't just stand there and do nothing. You had to help. Deciding that you're going to help, deciding that you're going to help rather than hide filled you with kindness. You opened your eyes to the same room, with the exception of tipped plates and spilled dirt. Taking a deep breath, you scooted out from underneath the table and got to your feet. Another boom went off as you shivered slightly in fear. Too late to go back now, Mayan. Cautiously, you made your way up to the entrance. All of the plants were nearly destroyed, and the roof was gone. You gasped softly, and almost went running back to the safety of the table, but you didn't. Reaching for the door, you mumbled, "Come on, Mayan, it's not that bad. You can do this." You stepped outside and almost immediately went running. Smoke rose from nearly every building. Screams and cries filled the air. You pulled your sweater sleeves farther down, squeezing your eyes shut. You took a shaky breath. You can do this. Take step after frightened step, you went closer and closer to the anarchy. And there, standing on the ruins of a huge building, was a figure. He was mostly unscathed. Dark opens as if ready for a hug. The grating, pixely laugh that reverberated off the building's ruins begged to differ. Ducking behind a building, you watched two pale monsters, one with a paintbrush, the other with a blue scarf, approached with weapons bared. "Please stop," one cried, summoning a bone. "You've done enough damage for today. Go away." I can't do his voice as mentioned earlier, so I'm just gonna do his voice like I would do it, but like slightly deeper. I had a brain fart. "Away," the dark bone monster stuttered, driving you to go further behind the building. His voice was even worse than he looked. He started laughing again. "Yes, error, away." You bit your lip to keep from gasping. The voice carried across the air smoothly, soft and graceful like whipped cream. There was the tiniest bit of edge to it, but that didn't matter. It was like a vocal hug, sending warm chills down your spine. You looked all around for the owner of the voice. That's when you saw him. He was standing on a building across from it, the dark figure, cape fluttering in a seemingly invisible wind. Even from here, you could see his staff glowing with life. Your soul filled quite suddenly with hope. He was like a superhero, but much more majestic, solemn, real. He leaped down to the ground. The impact should have been hard and loud, yet he was as light and as airy as a ballerina. You've done enough, error. A strange skeleton armed his staff. Wait, it's a bow now? So fast, it was like he didn't even move. You may take your leave. Air, or at least that's who you assumed it was, hesitated, then sighed. He relaxed too. Suddenly, a piece of rubble suddenly fell from above. He looked up in fury and could have sworn you saw a flash of red. All the skeleton's gazes shot in your direction. You clamped a hand over your face in sorry attempt to muffle your breathing. Air saw you first, smiling like a madman. He didn't make a move to step down, but didn't take his eyes off you either. Well, he smirked, twirling his fingers. What have we here? You were jerked harshly backwards, a scream escaping your lips. A science string was tightly around your ankle, dragging you towards the center of anarchy. Someone would save you. Mom, Dad, Frisk, Sans, anyone. Tears leaked from your eyes as Air pulled you to his eye level. He opened his mouth, preparing to mock you, or worse, kill you. I'm not ready to die. There are so many things I haven't done yet. I haven't fallen in love. I haven't bought a really cool scarf. I haven't even a really cold food. Twang. You fell to the ground as Air growled in anger. Looking up, you saw a bright blue light. You tried to move towards it, only to groan as pain shot up your leg. What was on that string? Blinking the tears away, you tried to ignore the sound of bone on bone and focused on the light stick. It was radiant, almost as radiant as a gold cape skeleton, and upon further inspection, it was an arrow. Ah, so I did shoot it. More pain coursed through your body, making you scream in pain. Although your vision was fuzzy, you could see blood pattering the green glass. Your leg had a huge glass. The sound of fighting stopped. Instead, you heard distressed murmuring that flickering in and out of you with your eyesight. Human blood loss, not normal wound. Care of them. Return them. Your eyesight abruptly cleared for around 2 seconds. Your eyes met. His eyes were stars, golden and bright and shiny, shining with worry. You were sure that when they weren't concerned, they would glimmer with hopes and happiness. They bore into your eyes intensely. You could tell that there was a story behind them, a deep story. They were beautiful. You could stare at them forever. And then the world went black. These golden eyes burned into your retinas. That is a good story. Okay, I'm gonna end it here because it's 19 minutes long. But, yeah, that was part 2 and 3. And adios.